Well, welcome to the Aging Boomers. I'm your host, Frank Sampson, and of course, as many of you know, on this show we discuss so many issues facing boomers, their parents, and what we know, of course, is an aging population today. And just first of all, I just want to thank everybody for all their support. More and more listeners tuning in each and every day. Many of you, of course, are just downloading our free app on your iPhone, Android phone, iPad, etc., which is an easy way to do it. You could, of course, go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, or you could go to our website at agingboomers.com and listen to all the shows. So, again, thank you so much for your support. And I wanted to just remind everybody that today's show is sponsored by Senior Care Authority, a professional senior placement and elder care management organization that has a national network of advisors to help in determining the right path for senior living and receiving proper care. So whether it's in-home care, assisted living, residential, or memory care, get the necessary advice from a senior care advisor in your area by calling Senior Care Authority at 888-809-1231, or you can go directly to their website at www.seniorcareauthority.com. Give them a call. They could connect you with a local advisor and give you certainly a free 30-minute consultation, and they'll be happy to help you on any issues at all. So anyway, I'm always excited about our guests. There's always new things to learn. We have with us Vickie Dellaquila. Did I say that right, Vickie?
You did. Very
All
good,
right,
Frank.
Good. Vickie Dellaquila. Vickie is a certified professional organizer and the owner of Organization Rules, providing residential organizing, senior downsizing, and move management services since 2002. Her company specializes in residential organizing, working with chronically disorganized, senior downsizing, move management. You're probably all wondering what all this is. We're going to learn. And clients who have issues with hoarding. Vickie is also author of the book Don't Toss My Memories in the Trash, which you could get on Amazon, and I'm sure we'll learn from her other ways to get the book. So Vickie, thank you for joining us on the Aging Boomers.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Frank. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, you've got quite a bit experience in this business. I'd love to know how you decided to get into this business. It's quite a niche in the senior market.
It is. I was always the organized kid. I moved a lot as a child too. My parents were definitely disorganized people, and I was always the kid who was just like, oh, I cannot stand this. I need to unpack this box, put this thing away. I used to go in my brother's room. I have younger brothers who are identical twins, and I would be like trying to reorganize their room, and they're like, get out of here, leave us alone. So it always just was part of my nature. I have a nursing background, and I have worked in social services before, and I saw the niche in the late 90s. And I saw that what I saw is I was working as a caseworker in a nursing home, and Mrs. Smith would break her hip and come in to the nursing home, and then her son would come in, or her daughter, from out of town or even in the same area, and they had this house to take care of. They had all these things to do, and I thought, boy, wouldn't that be nice if before Mrs. Smith broke her hip, she could start thinking about the downsizing process and letting go of things that she would like to go to her children or nieces or nephews and live in a little smaller place, or at least age in place with less things before there's a crisis for it to happen. And so that's how I thought about starting, and organization comes naturally to me, so that's what I did.
That's great. That's great. There's more and more people getting into similar businesses. You're probably one of the pioneers, I'm sure, but more and more people getting into these types of businesses around the country. You're in the Pittsburgh area, I know, but are there associations now formed, or
yes, there are. The premier organizing association is NAPO, National Association of Professional Organizers. And so those are professional organizers that work with all kinds of people, including seniors, with organizing or with downsizing and moving. And that's NAPO.net. There's also Institute for Challenging Disorganization, and that's a .org. That also is with people who have special challenges with their organizing, an educational-based organization where you can find help. And then there's NASM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers, where you can find someone to help you or your parents or your aunt, uncle, downsize and actually move to, or age in place. And they all are internationally based. There are professional organizers in Japan, in South Africa. They're all over the world, as senior move managers, too. We have some in London, I believe, and starting to pop up in other places in Europe, too.
That's great.
So we have them internationally.
I know we've worked locally with organizations with our clients here, and they do wonderful, wonderful work. So I think it's a great niche. So downsizing, when somebody hears the term downsizing, everybody might think of it a little bit differently. I think most people understands what downsizing means, but maybe you could kind of explain what downsizing is.
Sure. Downsizing is, as you go through different parts of your life, you are letting go of the things that no longer are things that you need to use in your life or that mean anything to you or that you would like your child to have, things like that. A lot of people, I have found, especially people in their 80s, 90s, and beyond, don't like to look at anything until they have to downsize and move because of usually a physical issue such as breaking their hip, and they have a big four-bedroom home that is just chock full of stuff. And it's very difficult when you are in your late 80s or 90s to start this process, emotionally and physically. So the process is going through these things to let go of things. And so it isn't an overwhelming task if you do have an issue where you have to do it in a short amount of time.
So when should someone really start to think about downsizing?
I mean, I work with a lot of people that don't think about it till they need to because they do have to downsize and move, or they have to age in place and their house really is just very cluttered with a lot of things. I think it's really good to downsize throughout your life. For example, if you, as a young person, you go through high school and then you go on to college and then you go out on your own and start living on your own. Think about, maybe letting go of some of those things from high school, college that you no longer find valuable, and what I mean by that is it's something in your life that you can really go back to and say, oh, what a great time that was, or I don't really care about my psychology papers that I have kept because I got A+ on them, and letting them go. So really going through stages of your life is the best time, but most people in reality will not do that. So if you are an older person and you think I may age in place or I may downsize and move, to get started now. I always suggest to people if they think they're going to move in 2 years, start now. Because it is a process. It's emotionally and physically overwhelming.
Yeah. My wife is a saver. I wouldn't call it a hoarder, but it just likes saving a lot of the things from our kids when they were younger and all of that. And I say, why don't you get rid of that? But it's interesting. She saves a lot of it. And then when our kids had kids, our grandkids, now they really start looking at a lot of that stuff when they were little, but there's still a lot of things that are just not necessary to keep. You were talking about things can be cluttered when you want to age in place, stay in your home, and sometimes, there's no more room. If someone has a basement, it's getting cluttered, or if they don't have a basement, like us out here in California, the garage is overflowing.
Sure.
And it could get dangerous, can it, for the seniors? I mean, falls, things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I've been in many homes where people are going to age in place, but they start to have pathways in their home, and they'll use maybe maybe they're keeping a lot of magazines, and they'll use that almost as a handrail, which is definitely a falling hazard. And people tend to do that, or they'll have even paper near any sort of fire, like a stove or a furnace. So that could be definitely a fire hazard, or have an exit blocked. I only, like for some seniors, they'll say, well, I don't use my front door. I only use the back door. So they'll have, things stacked in front of the front door. But, I said, if there's a fire, an emergency, somebody needs to get in that door. So you really need to keep that clear. And, other things too, rugs, definitely tripping hazards for many seniors. They really need to, loose rugs. To be out of the way, and you really shouldn't use stuff as a handrail. It doesn't work good. So definitely starting to clear some pathways that they're wider, that a wheelchair can get through, a walker, a cane, whatever might be needed later in life. It can definitely be helpful.
Right. Being in the business, I've been into, many families' homes. I'm sure you've been in way more than I have, but sometimes I've, walked in and realized that, oh my God, I'm dealing with, somebody who's a hoarder. At least it appears that way, and it's kind of shocking to see it when I saw it the first time. And I know that there's some specialists in your business, they actually don't work with hoarders. All right, it's pretty, I think, pretty challenging. And I know you do, but how do you deal with this? I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. It's they're estimated to be 6 million people who hoard around the world. It is now diagnosed as a mental health disorder, a true hoarding. And so some of that is covered then by insurance or by Medicare for the psychologist part of it, not the organizing part of it. But it is a very deep issue. As long as the person is willing to receive some help, then we can work with them and hopefully get them in a better place. Sometimes with people who are hoarding severely, we would do what we call harm reduction, basically helping them to make their environment safe, such as the theory of somebody who's a drug addict, giving them clean needles in an idea of a hoarding home, somebody who's hoarding, and it's a very dangerous situation where there's paper near the furnace, things like that, they can't use their bathroom. We would make it pathways that are wide enough that they can get through at least. So that is one way to deal with it, but that's the extreme person. A lot of people who hoard are not to that extreme. They may have issues with shopping. They may have issues with just taking in anything anybody gives them. So trying to help them go through those things and start to think about what's your goal. Can you maybe think about letting go of some of this so you can live easier in your home?
So for those adult children out there that are listening, and they may have a parent or other loved one that is a hoarder, how would they work with someone like you on that situation? I mean, would they have the authority, or would it have to be a power of attorney to say, hey, I'm going to take my mom out, I want you to clean this place up? I mean, how does it work?
No, it doesn't work that way. The senior needs to want to receive the help, and they work with us. And the child might be working with us too. But the senior will decide, what they want to keep and what they don't want to keep. And hopefully, if it's an extreme case, there is a therapist on board that can help with the psychological end of it. But they have to want to receive the help, and we do work with everybody because it is their stuff. If you don't work with somebody and they have a hoarding situation, it'll come back. It'll just come back. It just won't, it just won't stay because it is such a deep issue. So we work with them, and we've worked with a lot of people. It takes time. It's a process. It's nothing that happens overnight. But, time can really help change somebody's feelings about their situation.
So going back to just overall downsizing, so if somebody contacts you and wants to work with you, talk to us just how your type of service would work. I mean, are you literally going through everything with them? Are you kind of taking the lead on it? How is that working?
Well, the first thing is we find out, what is their story. Are they someone who just wants to downsize and live in their home and age in place? Are they someone who needs to downsize and actually move, and how soon that is? Sometimes I'll get people who want to move in a couple weeks. That's very hard to do. They're like, well, I've been in my, 5-bedroom, 2-story home for 45 years, and I need to move in 2 weeks. It's really hard to get that done. So, it's better to give yourself some time, definitely. But we'll work with them. We'll put a plan together, and we will work with them going through things. We take the lead on it, but, we ask them what they want. Sometimes we can sort things into categories and have them decide. We do all the moving around, that sort of thing. We help them figure out, what kinds of things are going to work in their new home if they are moving, or if they're aging in place, what will work here. For example, they might have a couch that has been in their family forever, 40 years, and it is not in the best shape, but, it was my parents' couch, so I don't want to get rid of it, but no one sits on it. So starting to work through, maybe that's not going to work in your new place or here in your home now, because it isn't something that's a usable piece of furniture for you. So starting to get into think about that. Just kind of marinating that idea with them so they can consider that if they want to maybe let go of that. So it does take time, though.
So the moving process itself, talk about that a little bit. I mean, if someone's thinking, well, God, why would I hire somebody to do this? Why don't I just get a mover? I mean, I certainly understand the differences, but I love you.
Yes.
I love you to explain it. All right.
Sure. The thing is with a mover, they're great guys. They do wonderful jobs, but they're kind of like beavers. They just go along and they'll pack everything. If you do not have it sorted down as to what you want to really take. When we work with the movers, we have it completely sorted down. We've already done a floor plan. So we know what pieces are going, furniture, where it's going. We know how many cabinets are available in the kitchen, how many are in the bathroom, where all these things will go. If you do not downsize, you're going to pay a lot more to move these things and then get on the other end and not know where they go because you don't have enough room. It's going to cost you a lot more. So you really need to downsize before you do bring in a mover, and you need to really think about doing a floor plan to make sure you know where it's going to go, because they really are. They're great guys, but they're like beavers. They'll just kind of pack everything, go through everything, and pack it all up if you don't tell them otherwise. So it needs to be an organized plan.
Yeah, and I think, the beauty of it also is on the other end. So if you're moving a senior, let's say they're moving out of their home and maybe going into some assisted living, retirement type location, it's much smaller than they were maybe accustomed to. What I have found is that, people like yourself that really do it right get everything set up for them on the other end. Because one thing I know with certainly everybody, it's a stressful thing to move, but with seniors especially, it's very stressful. And I have been in situations where that senior just doesn't even see a box on the other end. The pictures are put up, all the clothes are put away in the drawers, everything's hung up. So tell us a little more about that.
Sure. That process of actually unpacking and settling in, I think it's very helpful, exactly what you just said. We know, we'll have the floor plan, so we know to direct the mover, this is where this goes. We know where things are going to go on the other end. So we can unpack everything, make the bed, have the refrigerator filled with things that they want, have anything there, so all they have to do is walk in and start living their life. Because moving is, one of the top stressors in life, but especially for someone who is a senior who's been in their home for 50 years, and now they're downsizing to from a 2,000, 3,000 square foot home to an 800 square foot apartment. That's a huge change. So the stress of having to figure out where things are going to go, they don't need that. So we can help them with that at Organization Rules, helping them, just settle in. And then they can just start enjoying their life without having to worry about where are my shoes going to go.
Yeah, it's a tremendous service. Tell us a little bit. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your book. Don't toss my memories in the trash.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it and how people could get your book.
Sure. I wrote it after working with a number of seniors. It involves stories of seniors I've worked with, all the different kinds. Somebody who has maybe didn't want to leave their home, but they had physical issues. Somebody who has children out of state or doesn't have anybody. All the different issues, the different scenario stories. And then the actual process of downsizing and how that works and helping them through it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Fighting a cold.
Right. No problem.
But helping them through that process, and then the actual how do we move, how that works, working with the mover, or how do we age in place, and then unpacking, organizing, and settling in. So go through the process. It really relates to a lot of people who are in that situation or their adult child. I had somebody not too long ago from Omaha call me and tell me that her mom, I'm not moving. I am staying here forever. I've been here for 50 years. And she read the book, and she's like, oh, my, that person's just like me. And then thought, well, maybe I can, maybe I should think about this. And it just helps resonate that story. The book is available on my website, organizationrules.com, on Amazon, on many other websites, plus brick-and-mortar bookstores. It's also available.
That's great. So what other points do you feel are important to share with our listeners relative to everything you do, downsizing, moving? What are some key points that we haven't spoken about today?
Well, I think one of the big things just with organization in general is you want to let go of the things that are taking up space in your life and not providing you any type of joy from them. Because they really just, you have so much real estate space in your home, and just to let clothes hang in your closet that you're never going to wear, there's a lot of space. And it also creates a lot of, if I only lose this 10 pounds and I could wear this. So there's a lot of stress involved in it. And by letting go of those things, you really start to change your mindset about things in general, too. Having more stuff. And is stuff really important? Sure it is, but it's not as important as people, your time, your space, all those things. As far as downsizing goes, I think the earlier you start, the better. Definitely. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I have 3 grown children. And 2 of them have everything out of this house already. And the 3rd one still has some stuff. But it's going because I just, want them to have what they want. And if they don't want it, that's fine. I want to give it to charity because I don't really want to just keep walking by the same things that I don't use anymore. So, downsizing is important. Also, give yourself time. If you are a senior and you're thinking about downsizing, don't, just do something in a hurry. Give yourself time. It works better that way. Get some help, whether it's from family members, friends, or a professional. But it is an emotional and physically overwhelming task to take upon. So I would definitely give yourself some help. We consider it a privilege to help anybody who's downsizing and moving, or anybody who has chronic disorganization issues or hoarding tendencies, because we want to see them move forward in their life, no matter what the situation is.
You brought up about charity and giving things away to charity. I mean, with the work you do, I'm sure you accumulate a lot of stuff, a lot of things that are going to be either given away or thrown away. I mean, what do you do with everything?
Well, it really kind of depends on what's going on. First of all, depending upon if they're downsizing or if they're just organizing in their home and things that they don't want, if they have some monetary value, we bring in the resources for that type of thing, whether it's a estate sale, eBay, a local church sale, anything like that, where it could go. And it could be a very specialty thing, too, like art or something like that, where it needs to go someplace special. And if it doesn't have a monetary value, but it's just everyday stuff, if it's not going in an estate sale, charitable donations we definitely come up with for the area. Actually, we take things to charity for many of our clients, the smaller things. And then some things, do need to get tossed, but we try to recycle as much as possible. We take a lot of magazines to recyclers, or if the client has the kind of garbage that we'll recycle that. We really try to, batteries, we try to make sure they go to a recycler, all those types of things. So we, some things you cannot, they have to be tossed in the trash, but we try to recycle, repurpose, reuse any way we can.
Great. So we got just about a minute left. Why don't you, again, share with people how they can get in touch with you. You had also mentioned before we came on the air about sometimes you do some long-distance work with people as well. Why don't you share that? And again, maybe you could share also how people could get more information in their particular areas.
Sure. You can get in touch with me on www.organizationrules.com. And I do also provide virtual organizing, which is really great for maybe adult children who want to help their parents, but they only need a little bit of help. So we'll work virtually via FaceTime or Skype and help with goals and a list of things to do. And a lot of people like to do that, and they can work ahead of that. Also, NAPO, National Association of Professional Organizers.net is another way to find an organizer near you. NASM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers.org, also to find a senior move manager, and ICD, Institute for Challenging Disorganization.org, also can help you find an organizer. And be happy to answer any questions at organizationrules.com. And be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Great. Vickie, thank you so much for joining us on the Aging Boomers. Check out her website at organizationrules.com. And so thank you, Vickie, for joining us. And I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. Please share our information with friends and family. And just be safe out there. And we'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.